Hello, accountability buddies. It is a dreary, gray, cold day here in Massachusetts, and I'm back at the Willows getting ready for a walk. And it is, this is just an easy place for me to stop at on my way to work. It's quieter here than Kings Beach. There's fewer people here. The walk is really nice. And I know the loop is almost exactly 1.25 miles. So it's easy for me to get that mileage in, while also getting to work on time. So, I just wanted to kind of shoot a little vlog here. After I get done here, I am running an errand for work, which is why I'm here, and then I'm going to go do that errand. Because the thing I'm trying to shift my thinking on, and something that I wouldn't have done in the past, is if I ran an errand for work, where I was picking up something at a store for work, I would have done that outside of work hours or after work, and I wouldn't have counted it towards my work hours. And the subtle shift that I am doing today is, once I get done here, it will be the start of my work day. And I will be driving from here to the store to pick up some ink for work. And so I'm trying to shift my thinking into, this is a work activity, and it is a work activity. And it's okay to do it on work hours, not outside of work hours. And I should be doing it on work hours. Subtle shift there. Subtle shift. So that's the kind of thing that I'm getting into today. So I've got about an hour after I finish shooting this to get my walk in. And, so then I'll be headed to work. And so from that, what I want to talk about today, and I kind of brought it up, in my last video, is the idea of the mind-body connection when it comes to mental health issues. So, and I'm just going to do the standard preface this with, I am a therapist. With a specialization in art therapy. I am not your therapist. So this information is presented as educational material, not as therapeutic advice. I would say that you could take it into consideration when you are seeking out therapy on your own or as you're doing some sort of self-care. And I'm going to be talking specifically about some of my stuff. So I'm also breaking a cardinal rule of being a therapist, and I'm going to share some of my mental health issues. Or strategies. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. But, so I am someone who has struggled with anxiety a lot in my past. I've also had some issues with depression in the past, and those two things are very interrelated. But the thing that I want to kind of talk about specifically is anxiety and exercise, because we know that exercise helps anxiety. I've done a ton of reading about it. I've done a ton of research around it, written papers for when I was in grad school about it, because it's an area of interest of mine. And for me, for years, doctors, therapists, psychiatrists have all been saying, if you exercise, it will help your anxiety. And I kind of intuitively knew that. Because in high school and college, when I would exercise, I would feel better. I would feel more in tune with the world. I would feel more in tune with myself and safer. And so first off, I think talking about anxiety, thinking about it under 3 main headings of fight, flight, and freeze, and how that affects your body. You got the amygdala in there controlling your anxious responses to things and trying to keep you safe. And your amygdala tells your body, if you should fight your way out of something, if you should run your way out of something, or if you should freeze and hide, your way out of a situation, which often presents itself as just being silent, quiet, very still. Flight, presents as I need to get out of here and get out of a situation. And fight is sometimes just picking arguments, being irritable, all of those things. So all of those things can present, any one person with anxiety. I have a lot of those things. Typically, I'm someone who wants to get the heck out of Dodge. I just want to run and get out of a situation. or I'll be irritable and I'll pick an argument. These are all things that can happen to anyone with anxiety. And anxiety isn't always clinically relevant. So it's normal to have some anxiety. Someone who tells you that they have zero anxiety is either dead or a liar. So anxiety keeps you safe. The amygdala keeps you safe. And it becomes clinically relevant when it happens all the time, when you're in a constant state of hyper awareness, hyper vigilance, and you're always looking out for something to go wrong. That's clinically relevant. And in my case, I'm a pervasive worrier. I want to run and get out of a situation. All of those things apply to me. So, I am a prime candidate for exercise helping anxiety. And I think the thing that is important for me to realize is that walking helps, walking longer distances helps, and pushing my body physically helps. So the long bike ride I took last Friday helped a lot. And the reason it helped so much is because I pushed myself to my physical limit. Really, I don't know that I could have ridden much more than the 25 miles, without serious injury. Perhaps I could have. I'm glad I didn't. But the things that I've noticed afterwards is the day after I was a little irritable because I was in a lot of pain. Physical pain is always something that makes me irritable, probably many people, because who likes to be in pain? But then the second thing I noticed is that a couple days out after I'd gotten a good night's rest is that I just didn't feel all that anxious. And I had a situation where someone sent out an email to everyone in the company that had a line of per my last email. And that's one of those phrases that when I was working for the large corporation was kind of like the person sending that email was fed up and it was a F you. It was like a double middle fingers to the person. And it used to be something that I would have been like in a rage and probably would have fired back an email that said something along the lines of like, did you really per my last email, everyone? Is that necessary? And I kind of had a fleeting moment of those thoughts, but it was accompanied with an eye roll and a chuckle because I wasn't angry about it. It was just sort of like rolling my eyes at this person who doesn't know how to communicate with people effectively. And rather than like effectively deal with the people who hadn't read the previous email, who didn't show up for the meeting, like just double middle fingered them in front of everyone and made us all uncomfortable rather than like just dealing with people. And it just kind of made me laugh at the whole ridiculousness of the situation instead of sending me into like an anger or anxiety of like, what did I do wrong? And so I think that's like an example of how exercise has helped, because that is something that definitely would have just triggered some like anger for me. And I think thinking about how I'm feeling physically in my body is important. Like I'm very much more in touch with how my body is feeling than I was a year ago. And I think for me, anxiety makes me kind of out of touch with myself and not feel very grounded. Whereas now that I'm exercising, I feel much more in tune with my body. I'm obviously very aware of aches and pains and where I hurt in my body, but I'm also aware of where I'm holding tension. And that's a important thing. Like when people have anxiety, I'm talking generally now, people have anxiety, you hold your body in different ways than you do when you're relaxed. An anxious person their shoulders will kind of push up because that's a defensive posture or protective posture. Your body naturally curls in on itself when you're going to protect yourself because you want to protect your soft underbelly, right? So you're protecting your neck and your ears. People with anxiety have tension in their hands and arms because they're holding sometimes their hands in fists and they don't even realize it. A lot of people with anxiety would have lower back pain and GI issues, pain in their legs and calves because they're holding themselves ready to run. I've done a lot of reading and a lot of research into this because it's an area of interest. It's something that I struggle with. But it's also like I've worked with hundreds of people with anxiety issues over the years. And I've seen this play out again and again and again I people have these issues and once you open the door and start talking about it, you feel better about it. And so I think like pushing my body to its limits, maybe just once a week is going to be super helpful for me. And I'm getting into that science experiment. Like I am my own science experiment here. And I'm kind of interested in seeing how things continue to change and grow. So since Friday, like I've just felt this like relaxation in my body and I feel good. I'm interested in seeing how long that lasts when I've got the stressors of work, coming at me. So I will continue reporting in on that and let you know how I feel. But right now, like I feel really good. I don't feel anxious in the way that I often do. And I think that has to do with exercise as well as like a shift in my brain around like what is work and what is not work and why am I holding this anxiety in my body. So it's just something like I'm thinking about and considering as things change in my body. And with that, I thank you for being here, subscribing, leaving comments, thumbs up. I appreciate all of that. And I will see you next time.